Services, Finance and Property Division meeting to order, and welcome our guests again. At this time, I'd ask for a declaration of pecuniary interest. Hearing none. Action items, Betty Ann.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. We have a number of action items, and we do have all the department heads here joining us, so we can either deal with the presentation of the Q3 business plans and then excuse them from the rest of the committee meeting, or it's your wish, Mr. Warden.
What does committee, what would you like to do? Sorry. Start off, Mike?
They don't, all the department heads around here for the whole committee meeting, so deal with them first. They probably got better things to do.
Okay, so let's do that then. CAO up first. You got her off
Mr.
guard.
Warden,
Good. She caught me
exactly.
today.
I'm like flat-footed here. Sorry, through you, Mr. Warden, I'll give a very brief highlight in terms of where we are with the third quarter as a whole, and then go a little bit into my direct area of responsibility. The year of 2015 has been a very active year, and as you'll see in review of all of the Q3 business plans, the directors have done exceptionally well and have really moved the organization forward quite dramatically. We are, when the section comes forward and Betty Ann gives a fulsome review of where we are financially for Q3, I'm pleased to be able to announce that we are projecting a surplus at the end of the year of slightly over 100,000, and I'll defer to the balance for the Director of Corporate Services to go through all the details. The third quarter report for the annual business plan for the CAO, there's very little change in terms of the key performance indicators, and I won't go through those in great detail, with the exception that the projects that were on tap for the year are all looking good in terms of completion. The annual projects delivered on time and on budget, although it's showing right now is not available, they are all looking to be complete by the end of the year, which is a phenomenal accomplishment for all of the directors, and they should be very proud of their work. Moving into the detailed initiatives, the committee have received throughout the year updates on the Loyalist training, and we are having a return, call it back by popular demand in January, to just tune-up would be what I would refer to it as, a tune-up in terms of elevating the level of operationalized training. So much of the work is starting to be seen in all of the departments, but we just want to bring the two cohorts who have completed together and have a joint session. In terms of the intangible assets, we at the end of October, and speak of the devil, and he shall enter the room. I was very pleased at the end of October with our annual our annual emergency exercise that Doug Smith and his team led us through. We had a cooperative effort with 5 of the local municipalities involved, and it is one piece in terms of protecting our intangible assets. We continue to utilize WebEOC and other softwares to advance that area. The third goal is in relation to the connectivity, and there is a report later on the agenda in connection to the SWIFT project. It has overall been progressing well. The only point of caution, which is in the report later on the agenda, is we still do not have a detailed build-out plan from the group, and that you are being asked as a committee to consider pre-budget approval for 30,000 of the 172,000 that's in the 2016 budget. And at this point in time, I would offer that that's probably as far as the organization should go until we see the draft RFP results. And then finally, in terms of the county vehicle mileage issue, at the last county council meeting, you did receive an update from the 3 cross-functional teams. One was the team overseeing mileage, and the senior management group, we've been having, I'll call it, some fun discussions that there's a lot of interest around mileage, and less so for procurement. Not sure why, but and then in terms of the other new initiatives, I won't go through them in great detail. It's just focused on the project management and the redefining of the agendas for council. Overall, financially, year-to-date, everything is looking good. It's hard not to look good, though, when you're a team of 1.25. So, but overall, we're doing well financially, and you can see the draft 2016 initiatives that will be part of the plan for 2016. And I will answer any questions if you wish, Mr. Warden.
Thank you, Kelly. Questions from committee? Milt?
Kelly, just on your future initiatives, it's goal 1. It's on page 70.
The goal number 1 in terms of the operational review recommendation 29?
Yes.
Yes.
The goal, that first, on your strategic summary, that goal number 1, what does that mean?
I just want to make sure I'm understanding properly. Are we talking
about enhanced county operational hubs for the peninsula, lakeshore, and inland?
Yeah. So through you, Mr. Warden, that's dealing with 2 areas. One is the 3 hub offices that have been created for planning, and that we start to utilize that infrastructure that's present for other services, if it makes sense, that we start to look at that. So rather than having, in particular, I'll talk a little bit about social services. We do have a presence on the peninsula for social services, and it's physically in a separate location. So we need to make sure that we support that the efficiencies that come with physical location.
Any other questions for Kelly? Okay, thank you. We will move on to corporate services. Betty Ann.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. So for corporate services, this is a combined clerk treasury and information technology, and we've combined them for this business plan, and then of course moving forward in 2016 it would be one consolidated. So I'm not going to dwell too much on the key performance indicators. Most of those are annual KPIs, and we continue to monitor those as we move forward. I just want to highlight the areas where a number of our goals, and we had many of them this year, have been completed. So I'm just going to highlight on the areas where we haven't completed, or where we've had, where I just want to show the success. So the first goal, number 1, of course, we've been enjoying the webcast council and committee meetings, and there is a report to committee today that will officially launch that, and the link is now available on our county website. So we will be seeing many more hits and many more viewing, hopefully, of our council and committee meetings. And there is also, they are archived as well, beginning on October 1st, once we got the glitches out from our pilot. The second regarding the operational review and our program budgeting model as we move forward. Of course, draft budgets were delivered October 8th, and we are continuing deliberations related to our budget for 2016, hopefully of adopting that at the December 3rd council meeting. Department goal number 3 was related to our infrastructure for our financial systems, and that is, as previously reported, we are currently not at risk with any technological failures, but certainly, and you may hear it as a theme as we move forward, now that we have a information manager permanently with the county, Tom Service, you'll be hearing more initiatives as we move forward, and that will be ongoing into 2016. The other goal that I wanted to highlight was number 6, and that's regarding our reserve and reserve fund. And we have been working on this project throughout the year, and it has been delayed. We do anticipate a report to the Corporate Services Committee by the end of Q4. But as you can imagine, the county does have a number of reserves and reserve funds, so it's been an interesting process to, many of them we're quite aware of why they existed and how they were developed, and others we've worked with the department heads this year and have identified where there are smaller amounts or there really is, they've been sitting there for years. So we've been trying to clean them up as well and utilize them in the 2016 budget, where they, of course, won't impact operations, but to be able to move forward then and have a document for the future. Department goal number 7 incorporated a number of the recommendations from the operational review, and it really relates around the cross-functional team and reviewing procurement and the purchase order system, and I know that cross-functional team is working to collectively to bring something forward to us, but as you can imagine, for every individual that touches the purchase order, the procurement or the procurement policy, there will be that many different opinions on how it should be managed. So the goal really is to get a document that you as a committee can review and you as a council can support, and knowing that it doesn't put the county at risk and that it manages the public funding appropriately. So we'll look forward to that recommendation. Department goal number 8 is related to our key performance indicators, and I know I struggle sometimes just identifying when we're comparing apples to apples, and this has always been a difficulty with financial reporting that we do for the province in the financial information returns, and even in our performance measures that have been provided. We are instructed by the province as to having to keep track of them, but I can look to a number of our department heads and they would nod their head in agreement that each municipality collects and reflects on that information just a little bit differently, so it does make it hard to compare apples to apples. So if we were to participate in the BMA Management Consulting Municipal Study, which did not, the funding did not survive the 2015 budget, but is currently included in the 2016 budget, then we would be able to actively recognize our programs and to be able to review ourselves with other like organizations. There were a couple of unplanned initiatives in 2015 that we have been able to manage, and certainly the transition is well underway with the recruitment of the IT manager, and we will follow up with many of those items as we review the IT business plan. The other area that I just want to highlight is some proposed renovations for this facility, and at the time of writing, we were at the sort of at the 11th hour of issuing the tender. In some further discussions, we have just delayed the issuing of that tender just for some timing, but we still expect it to be completed in Q1 2016, but the results of that tender would be brought back to this committee prior to anything moving forward formally in any event. Moving on to the Information Technology Division.
See if there's any questions first.
Sure.
Any questions? Mike?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Wynn. I just want to go back to the department goal number 2 and the operational review, and went to that program budgeting, and I just, as I know, as we went through that exercise this fall, we did have a little brief outline or training session on about how to manipulate the documents earlier, but I think it would be worthwhile, because we do that once a year or so in a few months, and then we're going to be, next year, going to go right back to where we were, and I think it would be worthwhile if we had some, for council, I'm sure staff have got a good handle on it by now, but some better understanding of how to easily manipulate those documents and get the information that we really, how to find it easily, we would like. So it's just a little training session, I think, perhaps.
Certainly. We'd be happy to provide that for a committee on an ongoing basis, and I can also share with you that the local treasurers are interested in it, and I have been invited to present the format to them at an upcoming treasurers meeting, so you may get it from all directions sooner than later. So you'll get lots of training on it.
Ann?
When you were talking about the municipal performance measurement programs, I just wanted to make sure I understood you correctly. So sometimes, as you say, there's a problem with apples and oranges, and but they also have the counties, like I know they have lower tiers, and it's easy because you kind of know how you're different in lower tiers, but with the upper tiers, do most of the upper tiers participate in that as well for comparing?
And that is the one reason why we're encouraging council to buy into this, is because many of the other counties do participate, so we would be able to have good comparators for us.
Okay. IT?
So with information technology, we base our, the key performance indicators have been based on a survey that's been completed in prior years. And we want to have the opportunity to evaluate those key performance indicators and to make sure that the survey that we're distributing out is meaningful. So I regret to suggest today that we may not have KPIs for 2015 as we move forward, but certainly we will commit to reviewing that and making sure that we have valuable KPIs for 2016 and be able to manage those. I know it sounds like a long ways away, but for 2017, my goal is that this business plan would look significantly different for IT, that we would be in this current business plan that you see really identifies what we should be doing on a regular basis and what we should be delivering to our other departments, as we are a service hub department. So what we would see as we develop over the next 18 months is a business plan that will guide our strategic planning, and that, yes, we would be a strategic partner, but how do we continue to build with that and to make the county a leader in providing the service, and that IT takes ownership of much of the information technology strategy and hardware and software, and that the other departments just know, and that they have the the understanding and the comfort in knowing that IT is going to be there to support them in what they do. So a new service desk platform is on the agenda for 2015, as is just reflecting on better working practices and being able to align our work strategically. And one of the areas that we're going to be able to do that is to firstly build our redundancy and build our resilience in the hardware that we have. And I know later you're receiving a report that's related to the Gateway Haven homes. It's a supplementary report for our phone system. We're also going to hear more about our unified communications, and also just a realignment of some of our expenditures for 2015, and as we look at the preliminary budget for 2016, and using the strengths from our IT manager to be able to develop that in again, a meaningful way. The one area that we are trying to develop as well is that communication and leveraging more modern and standard means for whether it's remote access or access in an emergency. And while we can develop some solutions for that, what we first want to do is making sure that those solutions do have some redundancy built into them, but that we're not putting the corporation at risk, and that we have policies in place so that we are managing any concerns of proper usage, frequency, conditions of use, and that we're being fair to all employees. So that's an area where we want to spend some time, and certainly have had discussions with all directors as our manager is becoming more familiar with all of the operations. The Microsoft upgrades is ongoing, and again, as we look at deploying that across the board, making sure that what we are deploying is the most up-to-date and most modern within the means of our current budget, but that we're not having to turn around and deliver it again in a very short period of time. We talked about hardware, particularly our initiatives in 2015, and it was suggested earlier this year that we would change our 4-year plan to a 5-year plan, and that was brought forward as basically an informal recommendation. But as we've moved forward, we've recognized that there are a number of hardware deficiencies that we are going to have to address, and again, that's you're going to see that realignment of projects, but also where we had thought that there may be some surplus because of a 2015 hardware initiatives not moving forward in various departments. We've recognized that probably is not going to be achievable, and in any event, whether it doesn't go forward in 2015, like we have done in previous years, any surplus from that capital would be transferred into reserves so that it would be available for making necessary expenditures in future years. So a little off topic, but the Q3 forecast does not include that surplus. Is recognizing that any unspent capital for computer hardware would be transferred to reserves and not accumulated into the surplus. The one unplanned initiative, of course, was the Gateway Haven Communication Systems, and we are very close to tendering, and look forward to discussion with Council Committee this afternoon in Gateway to move that forward. And the other area that was discussed is also in the area of project management, and recognizing the importance of building a business case and having the project managed in a fashion where we're being effective and efficient, and that we know the outcome. Because if we have the vision and we have the resources and the skill set, and we put a plan in place, then we're going to end up with positive change and positive results. For 2016 future initiatives, and I know just to tag on to our CAO's comment regarding the successful emergency exercise that we completed, I think we all recognize that we can never do too much work in disaster recovery, and having sites and recognizing what our options are, and definitely bolstering both the business continuity plan and the disaster recovery plan for the county and the municipalities. And we'll be also exploring opportunities for cost-sharing, standardization, enhanced service delivery with our local municipalities where that may be an option. We are in each of the business plans, you're going to see the department summary sheet, which is a bit of a slight variance from what you see as in the department sheet for the budget. But the finance team have added some 2014 information and then the actuals for 2014. Because what we like to look at is not just where we are in 2015 at currently, but where were we at the same time period last year, and to reflect on that. So if you can, I guess what I would offer is a few drivers. Utilities is in many of the departments, you would see where that is a driving force, and a reminder that when we start to look at facility costs, we have typically in our forecasts, we're forecasting in the Q3 is that we would have a 12-month in utilities, which is water, sewer, electricity, natural gas. But for the purpose of these reports, you're only going to see, we don't accrue the ninth month. So there are 8 months of facility costs, but the department heads manage that as we worked forward and as we work with them in forecasting. So typically at the end of the Q3, you would have 75% spent. So you would look to what is actually remaining in the 2015 budget, and certainly where it, any place where it's less than 25% is remaining, we review those and to ensure, and under the deputy treasurer and the financial analysts do a very thorough review and for those forecasts. So this here would suggest that we have spent 30%, and that we are in a reasonably good financial position. From the Q3 information report, I've consolidated not only corporate services, but the non-departmental expenditures and revenues, such as provincial offenses, revenues, supplementals, and write-offs, and that ends up consolidated then projecting about $152,000 deficit overall in the departments where I hold the responsibility. The supplementals and write-offs, I'm not sure what you're hearing at your local municipality, but from the information that your local treasurers are providing us, it would appear that they are tracking significantly less than in prior years, although MPAC, the information that we are reviewing from there would suggest differently. I do have a meeting with the treasurers next week, so we're hoping to be able to determine if it's just a matter of timing, because certainly that can impact that forecast at year end. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Betty Ann? Hearing none. Lunchtime?